We're here today, guys, to talk to you about purpose-led organisations and the power of what being purpose-led can actually do for you. And this is something that we're hugely passionate about. So I guess before we get started, who are we? Here we are. We are MJoy. I'm Emma.
Luke, how are we doing?
So a little bit about us, guys. So prior to, for the last year, we've been running MJoy together. Prior to that, I was the General Manager of Culture and Employee Experience at Virgin. And Luke was the manager of that division. And we spent a combined 21 years at the Virgin Group together, leading all things about people, culture, engagement, recruitment, and just super passionate about, I guess, great cultures. And, you know, at Virgin and in the other companies we've worked at, we've kind of had this experience where we've experienced incredible culture and what that means. We've also experienced not such great culture. And we've sort of been able to, I guess, really marry out, well, why does that happen and what are the key ingredients of a great culture? And that's where really MJoy was born, you know. We are truly passionate about people loving where you work. I'm sick of hearing people say, oh, I've got to go to work on Monday, I hate going to work. Why do you hate going to work? What is that? Why is that? And I guess that we decided to create this business to go out and help teach people what we know, what we've seen, and what works. And we build that on 3 key pillars. So we talk about purpose and values and what it means when you truly get that. And we'll talk a lot about that today. Leadership, epic human leadership, and what that is. And then communication. If you can't communicate to your people, it doesn't matter. You're never going to have a great culture. So that is who we are and what we're here to talk about today.
Absolutely. And so at MJoy, we are redefining culture with joy. That's our purpose. That's why we wake up every day. That's what gets us really excited, really, to go and tackle the world. But with our purpose, it's not just about why we exist. It's also about how we show up. What are our shared behaviours? What makes someone who works for MJoy specifically MJoy? And so we created these wonderful 4 values here, which we'll briefly explain to you, which we really felt captured what it meant to be within our organisation, but also what was required to be leaders in the space of culture and experience. And so the 4 values here of speak human, lead with love, make it happen, and brave always. And these 4 values not only help to underpin how we show up as an organisation and as individuals within this organisation, but it also speaks to our leadership program as well in terms of what we think makes great leaders. So for me, speak human, it's what's on the tin really, but for us it was about keeping it really simple. How many people in here have gone in and you've seen presentations or you're hearing about something from a leader and they're just banging on and you're kind of sitting there going, what is the point of this? Where are we actually going with it? And so for us, Speak Human was about not only keeping it simple, but also speaking to other humans, realizing that you need to speak to people where they're at and make sure that you can bring them on that journey.
I think we call it the squint test, when you're in board meetings and everyone's squinting at the screen because you really don't know what that person's on about. I think we've all done it. So that's for us. If you have to squint, then you're not speaking human. Lead with love. I know the scary love word out there, very appropriate today. We believe in love, and love being, it's how you show up. It's leading with the right intent. It's someone annoys you and you go to bite back and you pause for a second and go, that's probably not going to be leading with love the way I respond to that. You know, so leading with love is all about thinking before you speak, thinking before you act, and putting a layer of love on it. Do you know what? You've probably had a really crappy day, so I'm going to take it easy on you. Dealing with a candidate, leading with love when you lead in.
Make it happen. Again, what's on the tin, it's about getting actionable outcomes. We want to see change actually happen. We don't want to walk into organizations, pump out a PowerPoint slide, say, there you go guys, see you later, and walk out again. Everything we do is about giving people bite-sized pieces of information and actionable pieces of information so that we can genuinely see, you know, so be the change you want to see in the world. Well, to be it, you need to action it. You actually need to be able to give something to someone to take away. So for us, Make It Happen is very much, it's our driving force behind how we show up, and it's you know, what we hold ourselves to account to.
And the last, and absolutely a favourite, is brave always. This is, you know, we talk about values being actionable. You have to be able to test yourselves against your values. We have to test ourselves every day to be brave. Brave to get up on here and talk to you people, brave to make the decisions we do, to walk up to CEOs and tell them things that they don't want to hear. We play in a very brave space. So it's one of our favourite values and we love it, and we test each other all the time. You're being brave, Luke, in this decision you're making. So it's a really, really good one to have. So when we talk about purpose, we talk about an organisation's reason for being. So if you think for a moment in all the businesses that you're from, if your business went missing tomorrow, shut down, gone, what would go missing in the world? I remember when we were at Virgin and we were talking about this, what would happen if Virgin went missing? Now, people's initial response was, one, less carrier, more expensive airfares. And that's a very black and white look at it, right? So when you really understand why you exist, you see that there's more. And what the work that we did was we understood if Virgin went missing, and by hokey we nearly did 2 years ago, it was, what would go missing would be that magic, right? It was that interaction that the crew just bought that was a little bit different. And we talked about the magic that would go missing. So understanding your purpose is about understanding what would go missing.
So why are we up here talking to you about purpose? Well, we wanted to bring to life a little bit more around what it means to be purpose-led. So to be purpose-led is not just about walking into an organization and saying, hey, here's your purpose, good luck to you, that's great, and some values to go with it, and we'll pop that onto a website and all the best, you'll do a great job. No, rather it's about looking at how do you fundamentally shift your business to be focused on your purpose, where profit is the outcome, but not the driver. And it's where where an organization moves from the focus on shareholder first and rather looking at every stakeholder who's in the organization. A purpose-led organization has three key things that we're going to touch on today. One is that it's authentic. A good purpose not only speaks to why you exist, but it's authentic for your people in the organization to live and breathe that every day. The second and most important part, I think, is that it's embedded. So it's more than words on a page. Nothing drives us crazier when we walk in and we've sat there and we've spoken to a CEO and we've gone, so have you got purpose and values? And I go, yeah. It's on the website. You'll find it like somewhere on the website. And we're like, awesome, sounds good. But as people in here who are focused on talent, I mean, how much better would your job be if you've got something where purpose and values are so embedded, it's driving how you run everything that you do, whether it's cultural assessments, whether you are writing your ad and you have a new spiel that you can put there and you're selling the meaning of your business, as opposed to just what we do. You can be an admin, but what if you're an admin who's a part of a mission to change the world? And that's a really exciting part. And the last one is that it's to be experienced. So if you're authentic, you've got it embedded. The most important part is that you're experiencing what it means to be that purpose-led organization.
And so when you talk about the power of purpose, I think a good one to call out here, and we talked about it right at the beginning about this challenging candidate market that we've got as well, is the truth is that we've got to think about the future. And people are no longer just taking a job because of the pay and because of their title. In fact, more and more people, and I don't know if it's happened to any of you guys when you've interviewed, if someone's asked you, what does your organisation stand for? Why do you guys exist? It's a pretty hard question to answer if you actually don't know. And it's actually something that people are going to, I reckon over the next few years, are going to ask you more and more and more. I would not take a job today without knowing why a company existed and how the values were embedded in the organisation. I just wouldn't. I know too much about how impactful it is now not to. And I think we're going to see more and more young people looking for that beyond just what your salary is going to be and what the job is.
So when we talk about purpose, I'm sure a few of you in here maybe have in your mind this idea of purpose, thinking we're trying to do some social cause. It's got to be attached to a social cause, that change for good kind of piece. Well, when it comes to creating purpose, it's not just that. There's actually different kinds of purpose, and this is really important to keep in mind. So for MJoy, redefining culture with joy is more around a cultural intent of how we wish to run our business. And so for some people, if you're looking at, say, a Patagonia, which is a good one that we all know, where they're in business to save our home planet, that is a social cause. That has that real, they created the business with that at the heart of it to begin with. But it doesn't mean that other organizations who are already existing, who maybe want to go through a bit of a transformation, can't find their purpose and their reason for being. Purpose also drives, and this is a conversation we have with people where they go, purpose, strategy, it's kind of same thing or maybe separate. For us, we really believe that purpose is what drives and is connected to your strategy. So I've sat with the CEO before who said purpose, vision, values, all the same word. And I was like, okay, cool. So we've got a bit of work to do here. But I guess what we're trying to say is we want to be able to make it really clear around why they're connected and why they're important to work with one another. So if you're a purpose-led organization, your purpose is your why. It's the motivating factor, and it speaks to everybody in that organization. Your values are your how. That's how we show up. They're our behaviors, right? We know how to show up, and we hold each other to account with those behaviors. Your pillars, your strategic pillars, they're the what. That's what we're doing every day. They're the actionable outcomes. We know this is our focus. This is what we're here to do. With the vision, the strategic vision of where we want to go. What's the impact we're going to make? So what does that sound like? We're redefining culture with joy. That's what our purpose is. We're doing that through our values of speak human, lead with love, make it happen, brave always. Our strategic pillars are connected to those three key things we spoke about, the purpose and values, the leadership, the communication, but it's also a piece around scale, because the vision is that we want to put great cultures at the heart of every business. And so every day we wake up and we know that the motivating factor is what's driving us to deliver on that impact.
And we talked before about purpose not being on, just words on a page. And look, unfortunately, what we find in most organisations we go to, not all, it's getting better, but it is. It's a slogan on a wall, and no one really knows how it actually fits into everything. So we love to show this because it puts purpose at the heart of it. If you look at people, we'll talk about MJoy, redefining culture with joy. When we hire people, we are looking for people. When we say redefine, we look for pioneers. We like big thinkers. We want people to challenge the norm. If anyone's coming with, this is what I always do, I love this one particular tool and that's all I use, it doesn't fit our model because we redefine. Enjoy. If you can't have a laugh and take the mickey and have a good play, you probably won't fit in with Luke and I, because that's what we do 3/4 of the time. So, it's about hiring people to your purpose. We talk about partners. So we're really lucky. We are partners with Workplace from Meta, who are out to connect the world through a lot of innovation, which fits in with who we are. And we're partners through Thrive Global, who are about addressing the stress and tension that is going on out there, and they really want to make that difference for people. And last of all, your environment. You talk about redefining culture with joy. We don't sit in a dark, dingy office. It just wouldn't work. We get out, we move around, we change our location all the time. Sometimes we work from the beach. Whatever works, as long as it's bringing us joy and helping us feel inspired.
Beaches never, it doesn't quite nail it sometimes, but it's pretty good. This one we just wanted to briefly touch on, which is around the trust triangle.
Yeah. So we've seen this, we've put this up many times before. I love this because it speaks to what we just said. When you say you're purpose-led, it's very different between your peers talking about, we believe in a purpose, we come together. Where it really has impact is what you experience. When you feel it yourself, that's when you truly believe. And this is perfectly aligned with high trust cultures. You will not find a great culture that has low trust. It just doesn't. Great organisations, great cultures have high trust, and that's because people experience what they say. When leaders get up on the stage, the CEO talks, you believe them because you feel it, not just because you trust them. Okay, so we've just given you a bit of a background as to what purpose-led organisations are and the kind of impact it can have. So this is one of our favourites, so from our Virgin family, and the most recent of the Virgin family, which is Virgin Voyages. Poor guys tried to launch at the beginning of COVID, not a great time for cruising.
Does everyone know Virgin Voyages in here, the cruise ship? No, so it's a new cruise company within the Virgin Group. It was one of Richard's dreams back when he was 18 that he wanted to have his own cruise company, and it was going to be for young people. And then he got into his 20s, it hadn't happened yet, and then it was going to be just for, 20 and above. Then he got into his 30s, and it kind of kept going, and eventually, now he's what? In his 70s?
Yeah.
And he finally got Virgin Voyages to life, brought Virgin Voyages to life, and it's an experience, it's an adults-only cruise ship, but it's just about doing things differently. And it's, as it says here, an epic sea change for all.
That's their purpose, right?
Yeah.
So, thinking about this purpose statement, I want you guys to call this out for us. So if you took a job at Virgin Voyages, right, in recruitment, let's keep it real, in talent, you took a job, what would you expect? What could you expect of a company that has an epic sea change for all? Anything. What might you think?
No?
Come on. Differences, challenges. Okay, yep.
Perfect. Anyone else?
What was that? Diverse workforce.
Yeah, amazing.
Another one over there? Fully remote. Okay,
Oh,
awesome, right? Okay, so because you've seen that word epic, right? You'd be expecting some big things. And what about if you're a customer and you've bought a ticket and you're going to go sailing on the ocean with Virgin Voyages, and it's going to be an epic sea change? What are you going to get as a customer? Lots of food and alcohol, yeah, absolutely.
The best part about it, right? Absolutely. So Virgin Voyages created this and are truly a purpose-led organization, but they did it beginning with promises. At Voyages, they promised to have no boring buffets. So yes, we want food and alcohol, but my God, I don't want to be like walking up and doing the old station going through. No industrial carpet tiles, water slides, stock tours, hard sells, old-fashioned or overhyped or underwhelming kind of experiences. I don't know is anyone here a cruiser? That might come across the wrong way, but you know, on their own ships. So there's people who are right into the industry. They'll go from one cruise ship to the other. And so there's certain things that you'll expect. When they created Voyages, they were like, we do not want to do those things because they do not create an epic sea change for all. So what they did is they built out their purpose and they made sure it was experienced and is experienced through every which way of the organization, whether it's the crew, the sailors, your partners, the oceans, or just your community. And so for their crew to create an epic sea change for all, they want to be a caring and generous place to work. What they also did as an example, because they were purpose building their cruise ships, they realized that for team members, when they were to go and begin on these cruises, they'd be shoved down the bottom into these horrendous little, galleys where that's where they would kind of live and hopefully breathe and, last in between being up on the top of the ship, a bit like probably the Titanic with less dancing. So the crews would go down to there. So what they wanted to do to create an epic sea change for all is they went, we're going to purpose build a great area for our employees to go and spend time in. And not only that, because we know they can't necessarily go up between shifts into the main deck, we're actually going to build them a bar that looks out over the back of the ship, over the water there. And then that creates an epic sea change for our crew. What we're going to do for sailors is we're going to create transformational life experiences. And so they wanted to create a bit of a digital transformation as part of the overall experience. So when you get onto the ship, you would be using your phone a lot more to be able to navigate yourself around. What they thought would be a great enticer for people, and I think a few of you in here might like it, is the old shake for champagne. So when you're on board a Virgin Voyages cruise ship, you can be anywhere on board that cruise ship. You grab out that app and you shake for champagne, press OK, and one of the team members will come and find you, and they'll be able to bring you a bottle of champagne because it's all included.
It's epic.
And for me and for a lot of people, that is creating an epic sea change for all.
Absolutely. So I guess Virgin Voyages was just one of those examples, and a really good one, that when you do start to think different, and I know that's what we're talking about today, people notice. So, you kind of got challenged at the beginning to start thinking differently about what you do in talent. And if you truly do that, and your organization does that, people will notice, they watch, and they want to join and be part of it. It's pretty much where Richard Branson got such a following in terms of culture, because people wanted to be part of a culture that operated like that. So bringing this back, I guess, to talent and what you guys do, purpose really touches on talent really, really well. I did run the recruitment division at Virgin for a number of years, and I know myself how many times we got caught up in, hire, time to fill, just getting shortlists out to the managers, and we didn't stop to actually think about, are we actually being purpose-led as we did this? And if you do, it really affects everything. It affects how you hire. I think Luke just said before, imagine if you were absolutely embedded, you knew exactly the kind of people you wanted because your values were so embedded in everything. It actually streamlines it and makes things move more quickly. It helps with making decisions. And once people are in your organization, if you're purpose-led, it's easy to recognize and celebrate. You celebrate people. Many organizations we've gone into, we have scrapped having performance behaviors and leadership, lots and lots of different things that people have to be, and said just let them be living your values. If your people live those values every day, day in, day out, how epic would your company be? Do you need to have 19 other leadership behaviors with it? Do you need to have a whole nother framework around it as well? Or are you just confusing people? So if you do it really, really well, it actually can help you recognize and celebrate, helps you hold people to account. One of my favorite things about good values is it doesn't matter if you're a CEO or an entry-level employee, you are all accountable to that same value. One of my favorites was Virgin Atlantic had a value called Make It Wow. All right? Now that's a big, bold statement. You can't be a little bit wow. Like you're either wow or you're not. So when they were in meetings and they were designing things, you'd have junior employees go, I just don't feel like that's wow, like what you've come up with. And these senior leaders had to go, fair enough. Yeah. So it gives you a voice to speak to people at multiple levels. And obviously from an EVP perspective, guys, like I said, the point of difference here is if you're an organisation that can articulate your purpose and your values, you are going to attract people into your company. And that's something I think everyone's going to need to do over the next couple of years as everyone's out living their own dream and doing their own thing.
It's a big differentiator. So when you are going to a market where maybe you're not getting the right type of candidates in or it's difficult to get good talent, what makes you stand apart from the rest? And what people do is they don't, I'm sure people have heard this before, they're not buying what you do, they're buying why you do it. I know that when I go and spend time with someone, I don't really yeah, cool, that's what you do for a job, great, but I want to feel why you're doing it. I want to understand your story. I want to know what makes you different because that's what makes us get really excited. And a good why is what speaks to that innate sense of meaning, and great values are what give us that sense of belonging. And it's what we're all craving as humans, right? We want to have meaning in what we do. We want to belong to something more. And that's what a great purpose and values can do for you. And then when you sell it that way, that's what people want to be a part of.
Yeah. We talk about it being the thing that gets you up in the morning. And that's the truth. Like, I have days where I'm tired and I'm a bit worn out, but I go, I'm getting up to redefine culture with joy. I'm going to help a business be more joyful for their employees. Yep, all right, that's the reason to get up. I feel good. But if you didn't have that, I can see why you don't want to get up, why you want to stay in bed, call a sickie, if you don't have the driver. So what we want to wrap up and leave you with today is, I guess we've talked about purpose, but we want you to go back and have a think about what we've talked about. And I guess the first question to ask yourself would be, do you have a clear purpose and values in your business? Would anyone right now be like, absolutely, I know what my purpose is, know what my values are, it's super clear. If you do, awesome. If you don't, it might be a conversation you need to go back and have with somebody. 2, if you do, does it explain why your organisation exists? So does that purpose statement actually say why you exist? That would be the second question. Then your values. Are they simple to remember? Are they actionable? If they're not actionable, this is a big thing about values. That's the problem. I forgot, someone said, I think sometimes we see a lot of values that say things like integrity. Well, I hope you've got integrity. Is it aspiring to have integrity, or is it just something you should have? Yeah. You know what I mean? So is it something you can actually action every single day? Does that decision have integrity? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Is it embedded throughout your employee experience? So from the moment you hire someone, to the moment you onboard them, to their career development, to the time they go on leave, until you say go bye-bye, and they become an advocate for your company, are those values absolutely deeply embedded? And then I guess the last one would be thinking about your purpose and values. What's the one ritual that you could begin tomorrow that would demonstrate you lead with purpose? So you go back to work tomorrow, what are you going to do from here on in that demonstrates that you lead with purpose? And it doesn't have to be complicated. And I'll give you the most corny example of this. So obviously, we're redefining culture with joy. That word joy is something that I think I naturally am a joyful person, but I also sometimes I have to dig a bit deeper if I'm having a bit of a bad morning, the kids have ticked me off, I'm running late. So what I do is I get in the car, and my joy moment is I have an 80s power ballad playlist, and I blare it on the way from my house to Luke's, which is 30 minutes, so loud, I've been told to turn it down at traffic lights, but I do that because it heightens I get wired, I feel pumped, I come in, he's like, oh God, here we go, she's had that today. But that's my ritual, and I do it day in and I do it day out. Any day that I'm not in a joyful state to start off with, that's my ritual. Now, you might think, what the heck's it got to do with your job? But I'm a better person. I then go in, I bring that joy to other people, and it helps me be more creative. So think about what little ritual you could do moving forward that could help bring your purpose to life. So that's it, guys. We'll leave you with that. We'd love to see you today. Luke and I will be wandering around and have a chat about absolutely anything. Otherwise, follow us on LinkedIn. We'd love to see you on there. And have an awesome day.
Thanks, guys.